I think initially the problem was between William Roberts and Dexter Manley. And here's Roberts right here. Here's Manley. Watch the upfield rush and watch Roberts run him into the ground. The flag comes from the sideline, and that's normally the line judge who's watching the left tackle. You can see the tackle that Roberts puts on Manley right there, and the flag you can see being thrown at the bottom of your screen. But then another flag was thrown during the fracas. So we may have offsetting, or
there are more flags. There are 3 flags right now for starters, and I think 3 separate incidents as well.
Oh, here we go. Dexter has the face mask. Roberts in turn. Damian Johnson.
That flag is for Manley there. So you've got 1 down probably for the hold, 1 for Manley.
And you've got 1 on the 7-yard line.
Funny how we just saw Dexter on the sideline, obviously extremely frustrated. William Roberts, and there are more flags than officials. I'd like to know where a couple of these extra ones came from. They are everywhere. And I think, is that Dick Jorgensen with a bloody nose?
It could be. Ron Farris, the umpire, I know, went down.
Dick Jorgensen, it appears, has some blood on his lip. Somebody's bleeding.
Sure.
He sure does. It's a contact sport.
2 personal fouls on the defense, 72 and 66. Holding and a personal foul on the offense. All penalties offset. Will replay at the previous spot.
Watch the sequence once again. This was after the hold had been called. Manley just kept coming at Roberts, and reaches over, gets him by the face mask, and they get into it there. The flag is already down at this point, and Jorgensen caught it right on the beak.
I think William Roberts got him with a right. You could see Dick Jorgensen's hat fly off. William, not good. Not good getting a referee. These guys have long memories. So they pick them all up and just play it over again. And when you stop and think about it, that's really the easiest way to handle the whole situation. Ingram down on the turf, and look at Barry Wilburn come in for a shot. You could have called that a late hit if you would have felt like it.
Didn't have any more flags.
After all that, yeah, it's 3rd down and 10 from the 22. And so back we come once we started. And Sims running for a 1st down inside the 10 and out of bounds.
And Mark Bavaro made a block that gave him another 10 yards on Monty Coleman.
Bavaro does a lot more things than just catch footballs. He's a football player, complete in every way.
Well, he gave Sims the sidelines that time by throwing a block on Monty Coleman. And Phil Sims took advantage of it, and a good look at it here from behind the Redskins. No hesitation from Sims. He's going to run, and Bavaro's going to turn. Not much on technique as he actually trips and falls. Effecticity. I don't think that's a word, but it applies.
1st and goal at the 9. It's the first time they've converted a 3rd down in the game. And Sims throws it out of the end zone with 6:35 to go in the 3rd quarter.
Bavaro is really attracting a crowd. There are at least 3 defenders on him in the end zone. Sims was looking at him all the way. I think he's getting frustrated trying to go out of the outside. And Sims very intelligently did throw it away.
Well, the Giants have been down here before, and the last time they went backwards. They had a goal line situation in the 1st half and self-destructed and went backwards. They need to make something positive happen. I say make a play again into the end zone.
Meanwhile, the crowd is taunting Manley, who is on the Redskins bench. Manuel goes in motion. Morris has a big hole and a touchdown.
Over Carl Nelson.
Behind
a big
Pete
block
Moat.
by Moat.
And Carl Nelson, the guy that does make a block, goes into a pass protection mode and works downfield and screens off the outside, and Little Joe makes the cut for the touchdown.
Raul Alegre for the extra point as the Giants try to get within 3. Hostetler puts it down. And the Giants, who were down 13-0, now trail 13-10. Joe Morris had been stymied to this point. In from the 9.
A great call by the Giants, going on the draw and the delay. Joe Morris, that's the most daylight this guy's seen since training camp, and he converts it into a touchdown.
Score with 6:31 remaining in the third quarter. Sepulveda within 3 as Allegre kicks off and sends it down to the 6-yard line. Mike Oliphant, the rookie from Puget Sound, gets taken down by Odessa Turner.
Let's look at the touchdown play again. Frank talked earlier about Zeke Mowat and the problems he'd been having blocking from the fullback position. Watch Neil Oklowitz come in on the blitz and watch Mowat seal off this hole inside. Then Nelson's block and Joe Morris in for the touchdown. But watch Mowat from the fullback position, takes down Olkowitz, takes down Wilbur Marshall, and takes down one of the linemen, making that play happen.
You couldn't design this better. Had a little look of a pass. Terrific block by Mowat, and look at that reaction by Phil Simms.
He might celebrate a touchdown better than any quarterback in the league.
And they can celebrate even more right now because Washington penalized on that kick return back to the 11-yard line. And are relatively subdued, in fact, very subdued Washington bench looking on right now. 1st and 10 from the 11. 6:20 to play. Third quarter. And a good part of the crowd on its feet. Williams finds the open man at the 24, Ricky Sanders.
That time Andy Hedden almost got to Williams. Hedden again playing in that spot where Lawrence Taylor is missing. Good athlete. He's a terrific athlete, as a matter of fact. When he was in college back at Clemson, he started out as a quarterback, wound up returning kicks, played wide receiver, played fullback, very athletic.
Well, I'll tell you what's impressive to me, Doug Williams' feel of the pocket and how he stands in there till the very last moment, waits to release the ball.
1st and 10, Washington from the 25-yard line. Smith cuts to the outside. He's taken down by Harry Carson.
Seems almost incredible that a team that had -3 yards rushing at halftime is now trailing by only 3, 13-10. A lot of veteran leadership on this Giant team. There's one of the guys. 9 Pro Bowls for Harry Carson.
2nd and 8 from the 27. And Williams has it dropped by McEwen. Right in his hands, and out it came. Pepper Johnson celebrates. 3rd down and 8.
Isn't it amazing when things start to go, the momentum starts to change, little things start to happen. Williams right on target, right in the hands of McEwen. Of course, he has Banks right in his eyes also.
Young player. We told you earlier, McEwen, a guy who caught on during the replacement games last year, finding himself in a real pressure situation here tonight. That's the kind of a ball you just can't drop. It may be a while until he's back.
And when things start to change, as you suggest, Frank, it's punctuated when it's at home, and the crowd really gets into it. A din at Giant Stadium on 3rd and 8 as Williams retreats under a lot of pressure. Incomplete. And in fact, a sack. He was in the grasp and control of Eric Howard, and Williams can't believe the call as he removes his helmet.
Well, Eric Howard that time just blows by Jeff Bostic, the center of the Redskins, and it looked like they were confused. Boy, this is just going one side to the other. Look at Howard, just beat Bostic to the outside. I don't know if Jeff thought he was going to have help from his left guard, Raleigh McKenzie, or not, but boy, good play that time by Eric Howard in the middle. You don't often get that kind of pressure from a nose tackle.
Now Washington having trouble with their snaps. Mike Scully, who was just reactivated for the game, to snap it for Cox, standing at his own 1-yard line. McConkey to receive. This time the snap is good, and the kick is high and relatively deep, and McConkey has it at the 43-yard line. He gets by Branch. He gets by another man. He's got a blocker out in front of him. He's inside the 30, and he's pulled out by Cox, the punter, at the 21. And the crowd goes wild.
McConkey sold this to the right and then brought it back to the left, picking up his key blocks on the picket line. And Cox, who is in on the tackle. Now watch McConkey. He'll take it up towards the middle, and then he'll start to the right a little bit, bring him back there. And now his picket line is set up out here. You see it developing, and McConkey just turns on the speed. It's a good block out front from Sherwin, former Indianapolis Colt tight end the Giants picked up a couple of weeks ago.
Sims asks for quiet, leads them up to the 22-yard line. 4:15 to play in the quarter. He goes right back up top, going deep and incomplete. Intended for Manuel. He was covered by Wilburn. 2nd and 10.
Yeah, how many times do you see that? And I'm not sure that I agree with it every time. Immediately after a big play like that, always trying to go into the end zone. You know, you see it, and it doesn't work as often as you think. You've got the good field position. You're at the 22. Why not go ahead and just slam it in there? The Giants have shown some success running the football. Wilburn with just outstanding coverage on Manuel, and I think that's the ball that Phil Sims just put a little more on it than he should have just to get rid of it.
On 2nd and 10, Carson comes in to block man, and the pass is thrown and caught at the 16-yard line by Mark Ingram. He stayed in to the chagrin of Green.
Good block by Carson. That made that possible. As
well, he didn't get, you know, Frank, he's not going to get both feet in bounds, I don't think, but I think the referee on the sidelines, the line judge, is going to rule that Ingram was knocked out of bounds.
Well, if he is knocked out of bounds, both feet do not have to come down in bounds, and there is the contact by Green. Oh, that's a good catch. He could have got that foot down easily.
3rd down 3, Giants at the 15-yard line. Sims, incomplete. Covering on the play was Marshall, intended for Bavaro. Almost got it on the ground.
Talk about steel on steel. Wilbur Marshall and Mark Bavaro going head-to-head on a pass route rather than blitz. Wilbur, boy, a good shot on the tight end, causing him to have a late release. And I'll tell you what, Mark Bavaro's leg just going out from under him, you have to think that he's still up in the air if he's been all the way through training camp. That's a rusty pass route right there by a receiver who hasn't had a great deal of practice.
33-yard attempt to tie it by Allegre. Perfect. And so the Giants, who scored at the end of the first half, have added 10 here in the 3rd quarter and have caught the Redskins with 3:55 to play in the 3rd quarter. 13-13.
You can go back to that play by Marshall on hand as well, so one or the other. Take your pick.
And Washington sends Ricky Sanders back to take the kick, and from 1 yard into the end zone, he comes to the 21-yard line as the Redskins try to get regenerated now in their own territory with 3:45 to play in the 3rd quarter. So things starting out swimmingly tonight for Washington. A couple of good drives early on, a 13-0 lead, but they've been stymied by the Giants defense since. Saturday, you will see in the afternoon either Syracuse against Ohio State or USC taking on Stanford. In college football, and in the big primetime game from the Rose Bowl, Nebraska against UCLA, Saturday night at 8 here on ABC. Redskins 1st and 10 from the 21-yard line. And they begin with Smith. Nothing doing there as Banks comes in to stop him for a loss of 1.
Carl Banks, as an outside linebacker, plays the run better than any linebacker in the National Football League. He fights off blockers. He gets in on the play better than any linebacker I've seen in this league. That time working against Don Warren, the tight end. Look how he stays on his feet. Look how he drives upfield and makes the play at or even behind the line of scrimmage. A yard loss on that play, and wasn't that a song, Nobody Does It Better? I think it applies to that guy.
2nd and 11 from the 20. Williams throws to the 30-yard line, and a nice catch made there by Sanders, but he takes a shot and a flag goes down. There's a flag back down at the line of scrimmage.
That flag is always
against Washington.
Call holding when it's dropped in that spot. Almost invariably will you get the hold call.
Holding, number 53, offense, still second down.
Jeff Bostic, the center.
Well, remember, Bostic had trouble last time the Redskins had the ball with Eric Howard. This time he's working against Howard again, and this time Howard makes a move to the other direction. Makes it to the right of Bostic this time, and Bostic hooks the right arm and draws the flag. A couple of bad series for Jeff Bostic.
Still second down, now second and 21 from the 10. 13-13 tie, 2:43 remaining in the third quarter. Williams on a roll, second and 21, stops, fires, and is lucky it's not picked off by Carson. Play is dead.
Looked like Doug Williams is going to get around to the outside.
Banks again.
I think it was Carl Banks that worked his way upfield.
And well played also by John Washington, who is playing tonight for the injured Leonard Marshall. See, Banks got that angle. Williams had to pull up probably before he wanted to. And then he knows he has to fire it. He puts it right into Harry Carson's hands.
That ball took Harry by surprise. He had his back turned initially. It looked easier than it really was there in slow motion from behind.
Third and 21. Clark left, Monk and Sanders to the right, with Monk now in motion to Clark's side. And they keep it on the ground. Kelvin Bryant can get only 3.
Have these guys changed jerseys or what?
And Washington with the injured punter Cox to kick it away. Hill and Banks in on the tackle.
And do you think Carl Banks is fired up? Do you think this guy is trying to make something happen? He's got contained to the outside. There he takes on McKenzie, fights him from behind.
And also the Washington play was a concession to the Giant defense. True, it was third and tremendous yardage, but they also were not going to put it up in the air.
Back to what I said earlier about playing the run.
Scully snapping. Cox standing in the end zone. McConkey is at the 50 to receive. Good snap. Kick fielded by McConkey at the 47. And down he goes right there. Reggie Branch makes the tackle and has a word or two with Phil. 34-yard kick, 2-yard run back. And the Giants have it on the other side of the 50 with a score tied at 13. Bringing you up to date. A 13-13 tie. A couple of field goals after 2 impressive drives, but the Giants were able to hold deep early. Then Washington on a touchdown from Williams to Sanders made it 13-0. Allegre kicked the field goal at the gun to end the first half. And now the Giants have done all the scoring here in the second half as Bavaro drops an easy one.
Not easy to flip that switch. This guy's only had a week of practice, Frank, and it's just not easy. And the rustiness is showing.
Came in just before the last preseason game against Cleveland, got a little action there, and was really rusty in this game. Actually, if you look at it, you can almost see him take his eyes off the football, and perhaps what you said is true, Dan. Had he been in the contact a little more during the preseason, he could have taken his eyes off that ball and still handled it.
On 2nd and 10. Look out, Marshall decks Sims and creates the incomplete pass.
Well, that's a screen. That's a screen to that side, and when Wilbur comes on a blitz, somebody's got to tap him. Somebody's got to stop his upfield rush, or your quarterback doesn't have a chance.
I can see you could get confused about whether or not they changed uniforms. They're both wearing 58s, 2 of the best that have ever played this game. Here's one of them, Marshall.
William Roberts tries to get him. Joe Morris is going to be the back that's involved in the screen. He thought about taking a stab at Wilbur and passed, and Phil Simms, I'm trying to think the last time he had to play a football game where he was harried as much as he's been harried tonight.
On 3rd and 10. 5-man rush, and he finds the receiver at the 28-yard line. It's Odessa Turner making the catch for a first down. A big third down and long conversion for the Giants.
He's the big man, 6'3", 205 pounded, the big target for the Giants. A superb athlete. Been around a couple of years as a second-round draft pick, and he handled that beautifully. He knew he was going to get hit. This is what you look for when you send that receiver over the middle. Concentration. And he did get hit by Brian Davis.
First and 10 from the 28-yard line. Draw. Morris wrapped up by Butts. And about a half a minute now to play in the third quarter. Marshall and Oates in the middle of that minor skirmish.
Do you notice a difference between tonight's game and a preseason game? I sense a little more intensity on the field. Not much, mind you, but just a little bit.
A wee tip.
I think these guys actually care who wins.
2nd and 8. Sims going deep. Too deep. Good coverage by Green on the play. Intended for Manuel with 7 seconds now left in the third quarter.
I'll tell you, expect it though from Darrell Green, and it was absolute perfect position. He had the inside position, and Sims was watching it all the way. Put it out, hoping to catch the fingertips of Manuel, but it was perfect position on the part of Green. Not as good as you can get, and keep in mind he's 5'8", 170 pounds, perennial Pro Bowler, but he just forced Manuel right out of the play, watching the ball all of the way, avoiding the flag.
I look at Darrell Green and I think of that play he made in Chicago last year during the playoffs.
The punt return.
Yeah, punt return.
3rd and 8. Manuel. A flag is thrown. The play ends at the 13-yard line, and the back judge comes in with a marker. And Charles Mann really laid it on Sims as he released it. It'll be the end of the third quarter when we find out about the penalty.
Charles Mann was looking for a holding call on Carl Nelson. Didn't get it.
The crowd saluting the Giants as the period ends. Now the call.
Holding. Defense. Decline.
Well, I guess we're not going to get a number on who the infraction was against.
Third quarter belongs to the Giants. We're tied after 3, and we'll be back after this message about an upcoming show on ABC and a word from your local station. Well, this game has really changed around. I go back to what I said at the top, Frank, in the sense that the Giants, if they play well tonight, even if they lose, have to be encouraged, because that schedule is so easy the rest of the way that they'd almost be a lock for the playoffs when you look at how they finish up the year. And they have to be very encouraged the way they played this third quarter.
They turned this around dramatically here. Really, midway in the second quarter, they were a different football team, but it's really turned around in the third quarter.
Well, keep in mind, these are the last 2 Super Bowl champions. There has to be a certain amount of integrity involved to get there.
Joe Morris on 1st and 10 picks up 3, gets to the 10. So as the fourth quarter begins, it is 2nd down and 7. And a look at Manhattan, the Empire State Building, the sights of the fabulous city of New York.
Well, there are a lot of people trying to get into that city tonight.
Yep. World Trade Center will be coming into view, and Dapper Dan's all-night boutique. The whole bit right there. From the Goodyear Blimp America.
Dapper Dan.
Oh, yeah. Open all night.
I don't want that guy mad at me. That was Al Michaels.
2nd and 7 from the 10. Caught by Moat.
And taken
Loose
away
ball,
from Moat.
Taken away, and Washington has it.
Well, here's highlight film material. Here's highlight film material. Neil Olkowitz.
Oh, is it ever? He's never in on a pass.
Neil Olkowitz, the middle linebacker, after completion, just takes the football away. I mean, put this one away. If you're taping this game, don't erase this. Zeke Moat with the catch. Here's Olkowitz down on his knees, and watch him just strip it away.
That's beautiful.
Oh, nice stuff. Nice stuff.
Neil Olkowitz been around for 10 years. I don't think has a year ever gone by that they have not wanted to get a new linebacker to replace him, and he just keeps coming back like a stray dog.
And ironically, his role with the Redskins is to play the run and get out on passing situations.
Hardly ever in there in a pass situation.
12th fumble recovery of his illustrious career, and a big one. stemming the Giant tide as Smith takes it out to the 7-yard line, and the Giant defense doing a nice job since the first quarter, bottling up Smith and the Redskin running game.
And we can't emphasize enough, this is a New York Giant defense without Leonard Marshall, without Lawrence Taylor, and in reality, a team sent reeling by the loss of Taylor earlier this week. And admirable the way they've played tonight. A miserable first half, and yet still had what it takes to claw their way back into a football game against the world champion.
2nd down and 8 from the 6-yard line. And this time Smith able to exploit the hole. Kennard makes the tackle out at the 19-yard line, and the Redskins now with some breathing room. 13:20 to play.
Now you look at it and you just feel and sense the character of both of these ball clubs. The Redskins, another team might have totally given this thing up. This game was taken away from them. All of a sudden, this is a scrapping team once again. And Bill Belichick, the defensive coach, on the sideline. He with the red T-shirt, calling the defense for the Giants.
Meanwhile, Smith has gone over 100 yards. That's 103 yards on 20 carries. End around Monk looking to throw, then he'll keep it, and is stopped at the 20-yard line. He was looking downfield for Gary Clark, but Clark was covered by Terry Kennard.
Good read by Kennard. Good read by Kennard.
That was a pass all the way. Now look at the last 16 ball games that these teams have played. Go right to the 4th quarter, and look how the Skins have dominated. 122 points to 68, and the only 3 that counted in overtime. You know that's good for a win.
Well, the last time the Redskins played the Giants' regular team here, they lost 17-0 in the playoffs.
2nd down 9 from the 20-yard line. And Williams going deep. Batted away. Mark Collins. And he comes up limping. Good coverage on Sanders as Collins comes hobbling back, and Andy Hedden and Pepper Johnson that time forced Williams to release a little early.
Well, we're now entering the mistake zone. A 13-13 ball game. Under 12 minutes left. You have to wonder if it isn't the first team that makes a mistake is going to be the one that loses the ball game. Who can play error-free football from here on out?
3rd and 9. Giants shifting the defensive line. Pepper Johnson showing blitz, but he backs off into pass coverage. And on 3rd and 9, Smith makes the catch. Great move on Hedden. Picks up a 1st down. He left Andy Hedden hung out to dry and turns it into a 1st down. So instead of a punt, they've got 4 more plays, at least.
He's made a couple of those moves tonight. Here is a man with a bad knee in college, missed most of his senior year, a lot of his junior year, and watch this move on Andy Hedden, who's a fine athlete. He's in there because of his athletic skill. He just was mesmerized by it.
When you drop a defender to his knees without touching him, when you do it just by moving your body and your legs in a way he's not expecting, I think that's what these guys live for.
They call him their power runner. He's pretty nifty.
1st and 10, Washington at the 35. Off the fake to Smith, going deep, incomplete, intended for Sanders, and back there double coverage, Williams and Kennard helping out, and Dorsey puts the hit on Williams.
And again, Doug Williams, I'm so impressed with the way he waits until the last second to throw the football. He's taken a shot just about every time. It's almost like he's not going to deliver it until he gets in.
He had a lot of practice at Tampa Bay because the last second usually came kind of early down there.
Yeah, on the 2nd or 3rd one. A brilliant throw that time by Williams. Good coverage in the Giants secondary by Williams. This is championship football here in the first week of the season. A lot of times you don't get it this early.
2nd and 10. Kelvin Bryant is in there. They send McEwen in motion. Bryant stays in the block. Williams has time, and Williams after the 40-yard line hits Don Warren, the safety valve, for a short gain.
That's what you like to see. The 2 linebackers, both of them hammering the receiver. making him pay that price, keeping him short of the first down. Meanwhile, you have the coverage you want deep by your cornerbacks, and it has been good. They've worked on Williams all night long, and but for the first mistake, he has played Pro Bowl cornerback.
3rd and 5. Washington from the 41. Game tied at 13. Monk comes in motion to Sanders' side. Monk stays in the block, and the pass for Clark, who's beaten his man off his fingertips. He'd gotten behind Mark Collins, but incomplete.
Collins comes out of that limping.
And he was limping before, but he was able to make the play here.
Let's watch it again. Collins and Sanders, and Collins missed 1 day of practice this past week with a sore knee that he hurt just slipping on the carpets. And there's no contact made.
But look at the throw. Look how good the throw was from Williams. And, you know, even though they have to punt here, the Redskins, an effective drive. They move it outside their own 40 when they start back inside their 5.
And a bouncing snap and a block kick. Picked up by Flynn, of all guys. He's used to this. Touchdown. Reasons with a block. Flynn picks it up, and Flynn is in again, as he did last opening night against Chicago a year ago. A touchdown off a punt block.
Bad snap. Set that sequence into motion.
I believe Gary Reason's the guy with the block. Gary Reason's coming up the middle is the guy with the block, but Frank is right. It was a bad snap.
Mike Scully, I believe.
Watch to the right of the center, number 55, Gary Reasons. Takes it right off of Cox's foot. And Flynn, as Al said, is indeed used to this. And Al, can you believe you and I had lunch yesterday and sat and talked about Tom Flynn?
A year ago against Chicago in that opener, off a block by, as I recall, Eric Howard, Flynn picked it up and went in. And the Giants have now scored 20 unanswered points after Allegre's extra point to make it 20-13.
Again, Gary Reasons playing it smart, goes for the football, and Tom Flynn, the right man in the right place, a Monday night hero. Who could believe this? Up by 7, New York.
That can you feel, huh?
Yep. Our spotter, Kelly Hayes, just walked outside the booth. He said Bobby Beathard is outside on a payphone. Maybe he's looking for a snapper. They really had their problems, and it's come back to haunt them tonight. 14-yard line taken there by Sanders, who runs back a kick for the second time, and he takes it out to the 28.
Watch how Gary Reasons right here blocks this punt. He's going to go up here, but the personal protector is going to move to this side to block on this side. And that's going to give Reasons a straight shot into the punter. The personal protector moves clear out of the blocking scheme and allows Reasons that straight shot at the punter.
And you touched on it, Dan. He didn't go up in the air, hurling his body way up in the air. He went right where the ball was going to be when it came off the foot, and he was perfect.
And that's how you also avoid the roughing the kicker penalty if you miss the ball.
Redskins down by 7 at their own 29-yard line. 1st and 10. Williams caught at the 40-yard line. Coming back is Sanders. The crowd can't believe it, and neither can Hedden. And it's overruled, I believe. One official had a better view. It hit the ground. The umpire overrules the line judge, and Williams has no argument.
Half of this stadium, over 35,000, knew that it was incomplete.
Oh, yeah, good look at it there from behind. Clearly a one-hopper into Ricky Sanders, who makes a heck of a nice play on it to make it look like a catch. A good look. It bounces about 3 or 4 inches short. Nice shortstop move there by Ricky Sanders. Looks like instant replay is going to take another look at it. Or else maybe they have a problem with the clock. Let's see.
It'll be 2nd down, 10, 9:40. Right now it's showing 30 seconds. What happens normally is it goes back to 45 at the end of the prior play. But since the prior play was in dispute, it now restarts from 30.
But no doubt that it skipped to Ricky Sanders.
second down and 10 from the 28-yard line. Williams for Clark. Can't make the catch, and a flag is down in the backfield. Mark Collins covering on the play.
And it's going to go against the Redskins. Illegal use of the hands. They'll mark it off.
How far did that football go in the air?
And flat-footed, he unleashed that thing.
How far did Doug Williams launch the ball? Into a wind. He threw that football into a pretty brisk breeze. The wind here at Giant Stadium moving from our left to our right.
Illegal hands, a jam to the face. Number 73, offense, 10 yards, still second down.
Mark May.
That's a major jam coming from a 300-pounder.
Now there's a good look. Look at the flags on the top of the stadium, and that's Doug Williams having to throw right into that. A 20-mile-an-hour wind. Now that ball comes down at about the 16-yard line, I think. He launched that baby from around his 25 or so. That's not a bad little. All right, here he is. Let's see if we can pick this up. He's at the 22.
It's one that could have been caught so easily.
15.
That ball would have landed even inside the 15-yard line.
About 63 yards in the air.
Into a 20-mile-an-hour wind.
Williams fires, nearly picked off. Terry Kennard. Craig McEwen had gone deep as the Redskins go to that play for the first time tonight.
And that should have been intercepted. Doug Williams is infatuated with the long ball, as he has been his entire career, but he's really taking some risks. He's throwing the ball to people that are very well covered. More often than not, with the exception of Williams, and I'm talking now about Perry Williams, misplaying Ricky Sanders' touchdown, the Giants secondary has decent coverage, better than decent coverage.
Those are also the calls too, Dan, and you think on second down and about 20, they would have typically, characteristically of Joe Gibbs and the Redskins, looked for about half of it instead of all of it.
3rd and 20. Monk in motion. And over the middle for Clark, and he's hit by Williams, but he has the first down out at the 42-yard line. So Clark, who started out brilliantly, has been quiet, though, since the first quarter, gets noisy again. A big play here.
Yeah, some great receiver. And Williams, again, going for all of it as he had to. Now on 3rd down, sits in there. He has plenty of time, and he's big enough to look over the mess, finds Clark. Clark knows he's going to just get hammered by guys that outweigh him by about 60 pounds. Concentrates, gets the first down.
And Perry Williams really hurting, so Sheldon White takes his spot, and he comes out to the near side now, one-on-one with Clark. And Monk goes in motion on first down from the 42. Let's see if Williams goes toward Clark. No, he goes underneath out at the 46-yard line to the tight end, Don Warren, stopped by Carson and Johnson. Spotted at the 47, gain of about 5. It'll be 2nd and 5.
Sheldon White, the rookie they have brought in, who now goes back out, and Williams comes in. But he is one of the fastest players, if not the fastest player in the draft, and he's looked great defensively for the Giants. But he is teched back out.
He didn't look so great that Bill Parcells couldn't wait to get him out.
He got out of there fast. He's one of the fastest getting back to the bench.
Under 8 minutes to play. 2nd and 5. Williams hit by Johnson. Loose ball, live ball. Jim Burt with it. Jim Burt is in for the touchdown.
This stadium is going to go bananas. They love this guy.
Of all guys.
Give Pepper Martin the credit.
Oh, yeah.
Pepper Martin hit Doug Williams in the back and knocked the ball loose. Pepper Johnson, I say Pepper Martin.
Well, he hit him too.
He might have hit me too.
That was a gas house gang play, you bet.
Pepper Johnson, give him credit. He beats Joe Jacoby and hits Doug Williams in the back. You'll see Johnson come in from the left of your screen. He beats Joe Jacoby upfield. Doug holding the football for a long time. It's hard to hold it that long, and Jim Burt taking a page out of the George Martin playbook. Heads for the end zone.
Lawrence Taylor may not be here, but Pepper Johnson, Carl Banks, Andy Hedden, they are playing, well, if not over their heads, they're certainly reaching for a higher level tonight. They have played superb football.
Raul
Inspired.
Allegre.
And Jim Burt, with not the longest legs in the NFL, takes many steps to get to the end zone, but here's a look at it. At the top of your screen, look at Johnson spin to the outside and get around Jacoby. And watch these long legs churn to the end zone. Chop, 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 chop.
A dramatic turnaround. The Giants lead by 14. 7:45 to play. And the kickoff taken by Oliphant. And he's dropped out at the 27-yard line. Jim Burt with the touchdown. What about his most memorable moment in football?
My most memorable moment, it's kind of corny, but having my son at the Super Bowl and putting him on my shoulders and having him be there, and it was a great experience for me.
Well, that still might be number one, but I think we've just seen number two.
He was running like he still had his son on his shoulders.
At the 27. Washington 1st and 10. 7:38 to play. Fourth quarter. And everything going wrong for the Redskins. Intended for Timmy Smith.
Everything just a little out of sync when it starts to go wrong. Fraction here, instant there.
Realizing what life is like as defending Super Bowl champions.
And in the blimp, high above Giant Stadium. I bet you it's getting a little cool right now. Yeah. Getting cool down here as well.
Especially if you have a white jersey on.
Real cold. 2nd and 10. Williams firing to a wide open Monk, and he's down at the Giant 45-yard line. Kennard makes the stop. So Monk's been pretty silent tonight, and he makes the catch here with 7:20 to go in the fourth.
Well, they call the right pass into the zone. The Giants back in their deep zone, and Art Monk, who's been there before, finds that hollow spot. And look at the way the Skins are working the middle of the field. Terry Kennard over there way late to make the play. And one thing about Doug Williams, he's not shy about going long with the football.
First catch of the night for Monk. Good for 28. 1st and 10. Redskins at the Giant 45. Williams rolling, going deep down the sideline, and Sanders is covered like a blanket. Collins staying with him. On the other side, Williams had taken care of Clark. Nobody to go to. 2nd down.
Banks again coming on the blitz. He made a nice little move to protect his body.
Did you
Let's
see him
watch
duck?
from the outside here. Warren is trying to block him. Gets to the outside, and there goes Williams.
But watch Warren hustle, get back up.
And look at this move.
That's something to do with the discretion being the better part of valor there, I think. You
Got a lot
gotta
of
know.
years like that.
You got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
2nd and 10. McEwen pays the price.
Whoa.
And the mic is right there, and you all heard Adrian White. Short of the first down by 3. Clock
Adrian.
stops. 6:39 to play in the fourth.
Adrian White's quite a missile himself. They like to have him in there. Every time they give you a play fake, though, he makes the tackle in the middle of the opposition's backfield.
I'm just looking at the scoreboard, trying to figure out how the Giants are winning 27-13. I think Joe Gibbs is probably trying to figure that out as well, how they have allowed this game to get away. Special teams mistakes,
Interception, block kicks.
they've spread it around.
The odd plays. Williams goes deep. Clark wants a flag. He was covered by Collins, and Williams can't believe he doesn't see a flag.
Well, there was contact, and there's no questioning the contact. And keep in mind that the officials this year are going to be a little more lenient. That's Mark Collins and Gary Clark. Well, that's interference all the way, folks.
It's almost a mugging.
I mean, that's hard to imagine how they missed that one. That is hard to believe that in this type of situation, how they can possibly miss a guy wrapping his arm around the throat of a receiver on a catchable football. And Doug Williams has every right to be incensed.
And just to refresh you, if you don't know, that's not the kind of play that's subject to review by the replay official. A judgment call. 4th and 3. Redskins have to go for it. And the pass is too high. And the Giants take over on downs. Intended for Clark.
And if you're a Redskin fan, that series of downs isn't going to sit with you any better than it's sitting with Doug Williams right now. He's hot, and justifiably so.
In this one, Washington has dominated on the ground, especially in the first half. Giants minus yardage, negative yardage first half on the ground. Passing, Washington has a slight advantage there, 36 more. But turnovers. 4, and 2 of them turned into touchdowns by the Giants. And there it is. Last year, 3/4 of the time, teams with the fewer turnovers won the game. So a pretty good indication, and especially when 2 of those turnovers go into the end zone for you. Block punt and the fumble returned by Burt. Giants have it back at the 38-yard line, 1st and 10. Morris will try to stay in bounds and does. He is stopped by Walton, who wants to go for a piggyback ride as well. 2nd down.
Al, here's another number to try on. We just saw Joe Morris carry the ball and pick up about a yard on that play. That gives Joe Morris 11 carries for the ball game for 3 yards.
And our unofficials to that statistician behind us, Alex Wallow, pointed out that the Giants only ran the ball 2 times in the 3rd quarter.
Now, how do you figure that the Giants are winning a football game where Joe Morris has rushed the ball 11 times for 3 yards?
For 3 yards, and nine of those 3, as odd as it sounds, was on the touchdown.
He's got 4, I guess. We don't want to chip him out of a yard.
Right.
I don't want to ruin that handsome .4 average.
2nd and 8. Reverse. Manuel takes it from Morris. Sims is there to block, and at least he gets himself in front of Cook, and it turns out to be a 1st down. Olkowitz makes the tackle.
What a good time for that call. The Redskins have got to be thinking the Giants are going to go with ball control plays, keep it on the ground, run their basic offense, and you come back with a reverse, and it picks up big yardage.
Redskins
unhappy campers there.
Go home next week to meet Pittsburgh. They've got Pittsburgh and Philadelphia at home. Their schedule much harder. And of course, in the National Football League, what happens is if you finish first the year before, they give you a real tough schedule. If you finish last, a real easy schedule. So the Giants with a huge advantage there.
But now they get to play the first daytime game at Phoenix.
Yeah, right. Week 4 should be down to about 103 by then. Morris.
Oh, that's pretty.
To the 39. Stopped by Olkowitz.
I think of the Giants winning this football game as they appear to be on their way to doing. It's going to take some sort of a comeback by Washington. Talking to Phil Simms down on the field before the ball game tonight, and he just got this starry look in his eyes when he just started talking about what it would mean to this team to win after what happened to them earlier this week without a Wilbur Marshall. Really devastated by what happened to Lawrence Taylor and his suspension for drug use. For them to win this ball game against the defending Super Bowl champions has got to make a statement as to how good the Giants are going to be in '88.
2nd and inches. Morris and a 1st down. And again, the Giants coming into tonight's game with basically not a lot to lose, because if they won the game, hey, bona fide Super Bowl contenders. Even had they lost, but at least look good. They could have said, well, you know, we're going to probably get Taylor back. We'll definitely get Marshall back. Banks will be stronger next week, and with the easy schedule.
How often we see it in sports, though, for the adversity, the loss, not only of Lawrence Taylor, the lack of Leonard Marshall tonight, the 2 best pass rushers. All of a sudden, you're seeing a Carl Banks who has not been even in camp that long, just practiced about 3 days. He's playing right at Pro Bowl form. Dorsey's been spectacular, as Eric Howard.
And to win it the way they are going to win this game, too, down by 13 and looking terrible in the 1st quarter and not very good overall in the 1st half. Morris on 1st down, and they're just chewing up the clock now, which is down to 3 minutes. And the Redskins want to take a timeout because the Giants have been working on the clock, and so Washington has to take a timeout.
Alvin Walton limping off. Wilbur Marshall that time. Watch him come up the middle on the blitz and go after Phil Simms. He's going to pass up the ball carrier and go after Simms. Wilbur, you're supposed to get the guy with the ball. But I guess at this stage of the ball game, if you get a shot on the other team's quarterback, why not take it?
Next week, first time ever for a regular season game in Arizona. Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe is the site. The Dallas Cowboys, who dropped one to Pittsburgh yesterday by 3, take on the Phoenix Cardinals, who were stymied by 2 tremendous goal line stands by Cincinnati yesterday. 8 o'clock Eastern time next week.
You going to be able to say Phoenix, Dan?
Well, yeah, I pretty well conditioned myself. If you lived in St. Louis, you saw it coming for 2 years. I mean, the ultimatum was made: either build a new stadium or we're going to leave. And in essence, the people of St. Louis said, well, fine, go ahead and leave. It was not a situation of the city of St. Louis clinging to Bill Bidwell's leg when he left town with his football team.
2nd down and 9. Giants from the 30-yard line. Morris, and he just wants to stay in bounds, and he does, so that's why he goes down at the 28-yard line. 3rd down, and again the Redskins have to take a timeout, so they're spending their timeouts on defense well before the 2-minute warning. 2:50 to play in the 4th quarter. Big weekend coming up here on ABC. College football now in full swing, and a couple of games.
Ranked number 2 coming in.
Yep. He played at 2 smallest schools, Morehead State, but he won a Super Bowl trophy.
Doug Williams was like 4th in the Heisman balloting his senior year at Grambling, I believe.
Phil Simms, the first pick of General Manager George Young, who's done such a great job here with the Giants building this team, mostly from the draft. He was the first pick from Morehead State, and everyone said, who's he and where's he from? But here it is 10 years later. He's still around, the Super Bowl MVP, where he was absolutely flawless a couple of years ago. And through so many injuries, arriving at Pro Bowl form.
On 3rd and 7, Joe Morris is stopped at the 27-yard line. The Redskins do not have a timeout. They used one earlier and 2 in this series. Grant makes the tackle, and the Giants can just watch more of the clock tick down. And this will take us right to the 2-minute warning, because the 45-second clock is slightly behind the game clock. So we'll go right down to 2 minutes.
We've seen this before, where a team would have had to run a play under the old 30-second clock, but because of the 45-second clock that's in effect this year, they've been allowed to run it down to the 2-minute warning. It's a little bit of a strange quirk in that new rule that lets the team with the lead have to run, they can run one less play.
Games average 3 hours and 1 minute and a few seconds.
There's George Young right there.
George Young, quite a philosopher, quite an intellect, a couple of master's degrees in education. He picks a player, he believes in them, and there's Tim Mara congratulating George Young, maybe a little prematurely, but I don't think so.
Neither do I. 2-minute warning. The game by saying, how can the Giants be favored by 2.5?
He's bigger than me.
Yeah, he's bigger than me, too.
I seem to remember you saying, I agree with you, Al. I seem to remember you saying that. Boy, what a short memory you have.
I meant the San Francisco Giants.
Here's the plays that turned this game around. The Washington Redskins snapping the football back. Scully with the low snap to Cox, and then Gary Reasons with the block. And this guy has been there before, Flynn. That's number 1. We'll show you number 2 in a minute.
The Giants on a 4th down now, 4th and 7, looking for the first down, which would in effect end the game, but no, Moat can't make the catch, and they'll turn it over on downs now to Washington without a timeout for the Redskins remaining.
Now here's the one I like. Not so much because it happens to Doug Williams, but the second part of it is Pepper Johnson coming in. Williams does not even have a clue that he's there. The ball is free, and Here comes the speedster, Jim Burt, from nose tackle, and he turns it on.
Doesn't look like his back spasms are bothering him here. This is a guy who went all the way through training camp without any problems at all with his back, and then right before their final preseason game with the Browns had a recurrence, very discouraged, and really has not played all that much tonight. Eric Howard doing most of the work at nose tackle, but Jim Burt was there when it counted.
Williams for a first down and trying to get out of bounds, but not able to, as Sanders. The Giants did a great job that time making sure, Collins amongst them, that he stayed in bounds. Skins can't stop the clock.
They're talking that over in the defensive huddle. Don't let him out. Don't let him get to the outside of you. If you're a cornerback, you know you got protection inside. Keep him in bounds.
Williams, who is hobbling, you can notice that on the drop to Bryant. He's got to get out of bounds, and he does at the 48, and that'll stop the clock.
Yes, you can see Doug Williams noticeably limping, the brace on his left knee. And keep in mind, when you see Doug Williams limp, Jay Schrader is now a Los Angeles Raider.
The executive producer of ABC's Monday Night Football, Jeff Mason. Our producer tonight, Ken Wolf. Our director, Craig Janoff. Halftime producer, John McGinnis. Halftime associate producer, Emily Deutsch. Our technical director, Joe Schavo. Associate director, Rob Biner. Second down and 3 from the 48-yard line as Doug Williams takes a short drop, goes to the side and throws it out of bounds. Our technical manager, Gary Ricketts. Unit manager, Ed McKenna. Telecommunications manager, Margaret Beauvais. Bruce Clark and Joe Castellano, the assistants to the producer. Research and information, Steve Hurt. Computer stats, Mark Demento. Our statistician up here, George Hill, with an assist from Alex Wallow, who did anything he could to get into the ballpark tonight. And our spotter, Malibu Kelly Hayes.
Kathy and Regis here earlier.
The whole gang.
Well, they went national. They had to say something.
That's right.
I first met Regis back in '71 in St. Louis. He had a